Hello, friends. Namaste. Good evening. I'm Dr. Saurabh Shah. Today we have a special lecture. Today we have a special lecture of doctors of international repute, Dr. Paulo Varela from Brisbane, and Dr. Moderator Dr. Ashish Joel. I would like you to welcome Dr. Ashish Joel and Dr. Paulo Varela on the topic that is single piece implants, the forgotten implant. Welcome, doctors.
Yeah, yeah. Good evening, friends, and thank you, Dr. Saurabh, for this introduction. And I welcome you all on this webinar, the topic of which is the forgotten implant. Our speaker for today is Dr. Paul Varela, and I would like to welcome him. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here to show our work and our ideas, how we used to work.
Yeah. So
Thank you
before
very
we
much.
start,
Yes.
before we start, I'll give a brief introduction of Dr. Paulo Varela. He is an eminent dentist practicing since 1996 in Lisbon, Portugal. He completed his post-graduation and diploma in oral surgery and implantology in 2012. Following this, he continued to pursue his master's degree from Lleida University, Spain. He has been teaching students in University Hospital in Villa Clara, Cuba, and he has been just and also in Lleida University. He has been a teacher of the master's students of the Lleida University, taking place in Lisbon, as well as in the Implant Academy, India. He is the founder of the Implant Academy, and I am the co-founder. And together we are running this academy for the past 5 years. And here it is over to Dr. Paul Varela, sir, for your lecture.
Okay, we are going to start the lecture now then. Okay. I just want you to tell me if you are seeing everything okay.
Yeah, I think I can see it, sir.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
All good.
We are going to talk about the forgotten implant. We have several implants, and there one implant is a lot of times forgotten, and is a very special implant that I personally like it very much. We have several implants. Here it is an example of external hexagon. In Europe, we use it a lot. In Portugal, we still use it. Is very useful because we have all the prosthetic components available, and is in our days is a cheaper implant, and you can do everything you want with this implant. In India, I know that we use most of the times internal hexagon. Here is this is an example of internal hexagon. And later appears the cone morse implants that is a modern implant. The connection between implant and abutment is much better than the external and the internal. The gap is very less, and the prosthetic part holds much better. The unscrew of the screw is more difficult, and is a very useful implant. We can say that is the last technology in implants. Here it is, the several connections, the external, internal, and the cone morse. And of course, we have much more connections. The brands make in the inventing this a lot of connections just to differentiate their implants from these three. And we have the octagon, and the trilobe was used by Noble, and they don't use it anymore, but they still exist implants in the mouth of the patients with a trilobe connection. Here it is an example of the cone morse. As we see, we have this abutment. This is the platform switch that allow that the implant and the crown can stay tissue level, less compression of the bone, and most of the times is much better to place an implant like this because allows situations like this. We see bone in the upper part of the implant, and of course that's what we want in the end of the day. To achieve this, we must insert the implant a little bit deeper. Usually the factory tells us 1 to 2 mm, and later we have a result like this. These kind of situations are completely wonderful. And of course, our implant, the Forgotten Implant. As you see, is the implant has the abutment. We don't have any gap between the implant and the abutment, and is a very good implant for several situations. Not all situations, but is a very good implant for a lot of situations. This is a brand. There are a lot of manufacturers that fabricates this kind of implants. This is another type of single piece implant. And another type of single piece implant. This implant sells in India, is a Bioline. This is a very good implant. As you see, as the others is aggressive, and this one is a gold abutment. Not indicate of anything. Here it is, the single piece implant and the insertion key. And we can think sometimes that single piece are always thin, very thin implants. Most of the brands have max 3.5, but there are another manufacturers that make these implants with a bigger diameter. Here it is an example of 3.5 and a 5.6. For molars, this is a perfect implant to use.
Yeah, excuse me, sir. Could you answer a small question? Why are these implants so aggressive?
Because these implants are for immediate load, and with these kind of threads, you achieve bigger primary stability. You need at least, literature says to us, between 40 and 70, and you imagine with a type 1 and type 2 bone of these, you achieve much higher torques. These threads allow us better primary stability for immediate load, because the meaning of this implant is immediate load. You don't use it for load after 4 or 6 months with these implants. You load it with the crown in the same day of the surgery.
Perfect.
Okay. Another good thing of these implants is the drills to use. You don't have it there. Usually the kits are very simple. In this case, you have a cortical drill. I like more the lens than the round drill. And then you have the pilot drill and the measure drills. This first drill is for 3.5, and this one is for 4.5. Usually they are very simple kits. This is for one brand. This is another brand. As you see, the lens drill, pilot drill, and then the drills for the implant insertion and the insertion keys. Usually, these kits are very simple and very simple to use. They are very user-friendly, as I say. When you see kits with a lot of machinery, you get scared, no? With this one, you don't get scared, because they are very simple. What they have: a ratchet, the lens, the drills, we talked about it, and the insertion keys. This is the what we usually use. Here it is, the implant in the box. You remove it in a very simple way with the insertion key, and you screw to the bone directly. And then when you need, you use the ratchet in the end of the insertion of the implant. The implant protocol placement is exactly the same as a two-body implant. The cortical drill, the pilot drill, this is to measure the depth of the of your drilling, and then the drill to place the implant. Here it is an example of placement of two implants. You already have the abutment, and you can manufacture in office the crowns here. Usually I make prefabricated crowns, and I make a rebase and I place the teeth. Here it is another example of this implant placement. As you see, you achieve here tissue level. You make your crown in this area and you don't compress your bone. This way you have much more less reabsorption than if you place a crown direct to an implant. You have much more compression of the bone. And of course, the impression is very simple. Usually is closed tray. We use a plastic cap to place in the abutment, and you make your impressions with the closed tray. They are very good for these cases for simple immediate load. This is an example of a post-extraction implant. You have the implants inserted, and then the final result is like this. You prefabricate your crown in office, and patient leaves this way. In the other day, this will be perfect. Usually, patient doesn't have any pain, anything. The only problem in these cases is that sometimes patient forgets, and they start to eat for these teeth, and you can lose your implant. I already had a case like this. It is another case where the bone was not a bit thin. I open it, I place the single piece implant, as you see here. With you almost doesn't need the insertion key. When the torque becomes too big, you change for the key. And the abutment in the mouth of the patient. This is useful to see if you have any space between the abutment and the teeth. You know that the ideal is 2 to 3 mm to place the teeth. And this is the final result. In the first day, you start to mold the emergency profile in this case. Here it is another case. The first step of this case was the block bone grafts, and then I placed the single piece implants.
Yeah, excuse me, sir.
Hmm?
So there is a question here. How long do we leave the block bone graft?
This
before we
bone
place
block
it?
process, usually I leave it for 3 months. Otherwise, if I leave it much more, the reabsorption of the bone will be too big. Usually 3-4 months max. After this, I like to place the implants.
Right.
And in the same day, I place the provisional, and this is the case with the crowns and done. And of course, patient very happy. She looks very natural. Here it is the X-ray of the case. You see bone with no reabsorption and no gap between the thread part and the polished part of the implant. Here it is another case. This case was made in India in one of our courses of the Implant Academy. Is a post-extraction implant. As you see, here it is the contour of the crown, the implant placed, and as you see, the position of the implant. And then we use the old crown of the patient. We made the rebase, and we place the the teeth of the patient.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, there's another question coming up. Why do we have a buccal gap when you
This
place the
gap,
implant?
okay, this gap is to allow us to create bone, because if you put your implant here, what will happen? Bone doesn't grow there. If bone doesn't grow there, you will have reabsorption, and keratinized gum doesn't exist, goes completely. This way is allowed to create bone in here. That's the big advantage of a case like this, and the position of the implant. The position of the implant should be this, to create bone around the implant. That's what we want in the end of the day. Okay?
Right.
This is another case of post-extraction implant. I remove this teeth, place the implant, and in the same day, patient leaves the office like this. This is very good for patients because they leave the office with the teeth. The only issue is that, of course, they can't eat here. Otherwise, they lose the implant. This is a case. This is in Portuguese, just to show you a case I publish with minimal invasive implantology made only with single piece implants. The patient appears like this with a removable prosthesis, was this prosthesis. The bone is very thick. I have good quantity of bone, and I placed all the implants minimally invasive, all single piece. In the same day of the surgery, patients leave the office like this. After 1 week, she appeared like this, and after 4 months, the result was this. These are the crowns of the patient and the X-ray. We can do these kind of cases easily with single-piece implants. And for minimally invasive is perfect. These are the patients that will say that implants is easy to do, because after the surgery, the discomfort of the patient is almost zero. After 24 hours, patient will say that he didn't do anything. That's the big advantage of this kind of implants. And of course, it's a single stage surgery. You make everything in the same day. It's a tissue level crown, and you don't have any issues here.
Excuse me, sir. How long do you leave the provisionals for? Usually, how long do you use?
This case was 4 months because I didn't have any gap between the implant and the bone. It was completely direct. Usually I wait 4 months. There are some colleagues wait 3 months. I'm not against that, but I prefer to leave the implants 4 months, waiting for the final prosthesis. Here it is another case. As you see, this teeth, the 22, was fractured, and I opted to make single-piece implants here. Here it is the oral observation of the patient. I removed the teeth 22. I made post-extraction implant placement. Here it is the first implant in the place of the 22, and then 23, 24, 20, 25. The 26, I made a double stage implant. And I made this double stage implant because in this day, I made a sinus lift. That's why we can say that single piece implants is not to use always, or is better not use always. Because what means single piece? Single piece means immediate load. And if I make a sinus lift here, is better not to make the immediate load. It's better to wait, and then you place the definitive crown. No, That's why I opted to make these 4 implants immediate load and the last implant not immediate load. Here it is in the same day and after 1 week to remove the stitches. And the final case is here. As you see, all the crowns are perfect. We have keratinized gum, we have papillas, we have everything. The aesthetic of the patient was recovered. After 2 years, we still have the keratinized gum. We have teeth in all parts of the mouth, in the third and the fourth quadrant, and is perfect because this patient has a very good oral hygiene. We can only make these cases in patients with good oral hygiene. Otherwise, our work will be very bad. And after 12 years, we have this result. If you observe patient already lost 1 more teeth here, I opted to place a double piece implant, and the double body implant, I talked about it. Here you see the bone I placed in the sinus. It's still here. Here it is, and this is not a single piece implant. And if you observe, you don't have any reabsorption. This is the polished part of the implant. Here will never grow bone. You have the bone in all the spires of the implant. See?
Yeah, it looks amazing. The results are awesome.
And why didn't I make the bridge? Because here patient can floss. He will floss everywhere. This is to try to copy the natural function, no? Patient will floss all of his teeth and maintain a good oral hygiene. That's why after 12 years, the result is this. Okay?
Incredible.
This is another case, a case of a patient with a bridge. This is a zirconia bridge, and who made this for me made a small mistake because he placed 12 teeth only in 4 abutments, in the 6th and the canine. As you see here, the patient broke the bridge, and here the case was like this: 6th, 3rd teeth, and the bridge was made here. What did I do? I placed single piece implants. Of course, in this case, I had to open. It was almost impossible to make a case like this with single piece. The bone was too thin. And I left these 2 teeth here because in this area, I made a sinus lift. Patient didn't want to make in the same day. I leave the teeth here to maintain the vertical dimension. And later, after the placement of these crowns, the patient wanted to make the sinus lift here and place the 6. 6 months later, patient appeared like this, as you see, with the all keratinized gum and with the papillas. Here it is, the last implant I placed. Here it is, another one.
And so there's a question here. Why do you choose a double body implant for the molars in this case?
Okay, I chose because they are thicker, no? These implants are about 4.5 or 4.3, now I don't remember. And for a molar, it's much better to use this implant than a 3.5, because this brand has only 3.0 and 3.5 mm of the implants. Okay. And you imagine a molar like this with a 3.5 doesn't offer me to big confidence. Then I opted to place thicker implants, okay? Because of this brand doesn't have thicker implants. That's why.
Do brands exist with the?
Yeah, I show you in the 2nd or 3rd slides. There are some brands that have it until 5.6 a German company called Trino. They have it. Not of all of the factories that fabricate single piece have it, but that brand has it. And here it is, 8 years follow-up. As you see, no bone loss. Even in between the implants, we have bone. As you see, we have bone everywhere. And why? Because this patient has good oral hygiene and he floss. A patient to make a work like this must keep in their mind that his oral hygiene must be perfect and he is obliged to floss all of the time. Otherwise, he will lose the job. Now you can tell me, okay, the patient doesn't have good oral hygiene, I make him an all-on-4 or another thing. But if you make an all-on-4 on a patient with bad hygiene, what will happen? You will lose the implants. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's absolutely the same. If the patient can replicate the natural function of the teeth and the natural look, why doesn't make a work like this? I think in the end is much better, because after 8 years the look is like this and the patient still is very happy. We have papillas, we have a small defect here that in time we can correct. It's not so difficult to correct with connective tissue, but the result after 8 years is like this. I think with the bridge it's a bit more difficult to maintain static like this. Here it is another case of single piece. Usually what people do, you can place one implant in 32 and in 32, 42 and make a bridge. I opted to this patient doesn't make a bridge. I opted to place 4 single piece implants, 3.5 mm of diameter. And here it is, the provisional. As you observe, the place of insertion of the crowns are completely perfect in the middle of the teeth, and that's what we really want, is to maintain the perfect position of it. Okay, in the day of the surgery, patient leave the office like this. And the final case, here we have some aesthetic issue. As you observe, we have a big defect here. This defect could be corrected with connective tissue, but the patient really didn't want. He didn't want another surgery. He told me that the aesthetic here wasn't so important for him. And if we think, it's true. When you smile, the down teeth, you don't see the gum so well. And what matters to me is not being a bridge. Patient can floss and can clean this perfectly every day. That, in the end of the day, that's what we really want, is to maintain these implants in the mouth and maintain the hygiene of the patient. And here it is, the final X-ray. As you see, we respected the spaces between implant. We have at least 2 to 3 mm there. Here a bit more. And I hope patients will floss these teeth every day. And this is COVID times. This is before a surgery. A colleague of mine and his assistant, we are entering surgery here, and now we must, because of the COVID times, we need to be more careful. And I used to work like this. It's missing my glasses, and that's our reality in our days.
The new normal now.
Yeah, our new normal. This is a course I made in Lisbon when when we didn't heard about COVID. This is the old normal times, as you observe. Even in that times, some of our colleagues opted to use some protection, and of course, to operate, the glasses are always needed. Here it is another course that was made in Lisbon. Our practical courses are like this. Our former is working, and we are monitoring his work and guide to make a good job. This photo, I like it very much because this is our very first course in India. It was in Lucknow. And for beginners, we don't go directly to the mouth of the patient. We first make hands-on to introduce the implant kit, to teach how people can manage everything. And we had these 3 students, and to tell you the truth, I miss these times, and it was very good. I liked it very much. The course, the first course we made in Lucknow.
It's a memory to
It's
cherish.
a memory. Then we develop, and here it is, our big friend, Dr. Imanshu. He's a big helper of us. He makes a lot of implants. He's a very good professional.
Maxillofacial surgeon.
He's a maxillofacial surgeon. And sometimes when he can, he helps us in the course, and our students here in our presentation and our hands-on. Our team, this guy is a Portuguese guy that went with me to Delhi, and Dr. Nitin, also a friend that helped us a lot. The installation is from Dr. Nitin, and it was our last course before COVID. And again, I miss these times without the virus. It was much better than now. And of course, our big friend, my big friend and colleague, Dr. Ashish, is with me in the beginning. We created the Implant Academy in India, and we love what we do. And as you see in his face, he's very happy. For us, it's very good to teach what we know to the people that are following us. And me in a course. I don't remember if in Delhi or Lucknow.
This, yeah, probably Delhi, sir.
Probably Delhi, yeah. And our courses, I am the mentor of the Implant Academy. If you really want to join us one day, we welcome you, and because we have a big pleasure to teach everything we know. And I really want to thank the World Dental Association for this opportunity. For me, it's very good to show the kind of work we do. Sometimes maybe a bit different, but that's what we really like to do. Okay. Do you have any questions, Ashish, or something to add?
Yeah, sir, there is one question from our viewer. He wants to know the brand of implants you used in probably the second case.
The second case. Oh my God. These are 3 brands here. And
the one with the grooves. He wants to know the ones with the grooves.
This implant is a Trino implant. It's a German implant. The model is the Q1. These implants are MIS. You see, the threads are different. They are from Israel. The model is Mish Uno. And we have another implant. This one sells in India. And we used to work with some of our cases. I think this case was his brand. That is this one, Bioline.
Okay.
Okay, I think this case was a Bioline case. Let me see. Let me show you. No, not this one. This is a MIS. This is another brand. I forgot. This is an Italian brand. This is a Biomicron.
Okay.
The brand of this is a Biomicron, and this one is a Bioline. As you see, we use several brands. What matters to us is to be a single piece and have no gap between the threads and the abutment.
Yeah.
That's
So
what is important to us.
one more question. What are the advantages of single piece implants over two-piece implants?
Big advantage is in the same day you can place the crown. You can start to draw the contour of the gum, and you don't have any gap between the threads and the abutment. That's the most important. You don't have any gap. Okay, that's the real important part, is that you don't have any gap.
And the immediate load, of course.
And the immediate load, but with a double piece, you can make immediate load.
Yeah. Okay.
You place an abutment and you make the immediate load. The important part of this is no gap, and in the end of the day, is cheaper than the double piece implant.
Yeah.
The price, less pieces, less problems. That's the purpose of this kind of implant.
Yeah, I hope this answers the question, Dr. Sushil Kumar Jha. This was his question. And sir, there is another question, very important question. What are your views on a single piece implant with a ball top abutment for overdentures?
Okay, that's the only case that I don't use them, because the cap will provoke some friction in the ball of the implant, and with time they lose strength. Okay, that's the cases I prefer double piece implants rather than one piece implants, because if you have problems with double piece, you remove the ball and you place a new one. In single piece implants with ball, you can't replace the ball, and if you have any problems with the ball, the implant is there, and the only way is to remove it. That's why it's the only case I don't use it. I already used it, but I had some issues and I stopped to use it.
Yeah, there is another, it's a comment from Dr. Munmun, and she says osseointegration is better in a single piece implant or the double piece implant. She wants to know.
It's the same. In the end of the day, the implants are the same. The biggest advantage is the prosthetic part and the mean of being a tissue level implant. The compression of the bone is very less than the double piece. Of course, you can tell me, I can place a double piece with less stress to the bone because I use a platform switch. Is true. It's very true. If you use a cone morse implant with the abutment of platform switch, yes, you can use it. But here, the biggest advantage, that is cheaper. The single piece is much cheaper, makes the same in a cheaper way, because you don't need any abutment. The abutment is already there.
And there are no micro movements at the...
You don't have micro movements, but with the cone morse, the micro movements are very less, very less.
Right. I think, sir, I'll just go through the questions if we have some more. Yeah, there was one question in the beginning. They wanted to know, someone was confused whether it is a basal implant, the one which you showed in the picture.
No, they are not basal. Basal implants, they don't have any treatment. Usually, they don't have this configuration. These implants doesn't bend the abutments. The abutments are completely solid. They don't bend. They don't do anything. These implants are as double piece implants. They are exactly the same. A little bit more aggressive because they are implants for immediate load. Their purpose is immediate load. Okay, they are not basal. The philosophy is completely different.
Right. Here we are, sir. I think we have answered all the questions, and we would like to thank our viewers. And I hope they liked and enjoyed. And I would especially like to extend my thanks to World Dental Association, and especially Dr. Abhishek Mahajan, Dr. Saurabh, who's with us right now. He has been a very good help.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
he is guiding us, and Dr.
Yeah.
Mohoto as well, and
Yes.
everyone
Thank
who is
you. Thank
connected
you very
with
much,
us.
Dr. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Paulo Varela and Dr.
Thank you.
Ashish, for a wonderful lecture. We enjoyed the lecture and hope to see more. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you very much
Yeah.
for World
Thank you.
Dental Association. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night and take care, doctor.
Take
Good
care.
night.